Okay, so you should be open to page 26. You should be open to a clean page in the social studies section of your vocabulary notebook. The title of today's lesson, or today's notes, is Chapter 1, Lesson 3, then today's date. And go ahead and start reading on page 26. Put me back. Victoria. Make sure to read the title of the lesson and don't forget that you are there. You're what?
I'm trying to know how to put my book at this angle because this is on this side.
Okay, then put your vocabulary notebook underneath. There you go. That solve it? Did that solve it? There you go. Okay.
Climate in the United States.
A little louder.
You are there. You're watching the National Weather Report on television. On the screen, you see people in
That QU in this case sounds like K.
American.
You're adding a whole lot of extra syllables. So remember, let's look at things, some phonics rules that we know. We know E-T-T-E just sounds like et. I told you that in this case, not every time, this sounds like, really it sounds like. Okay. Now, we know syllables are usually consonant, vowel, consonant, or it might be vowel, consonant. So, first consonant, vowel, consonant is M-A-R. How would we say that? Mar. Mar. Et. Mar. Et. Market. So kind of like market, but you put since it's not market, in this case, which you don't really know by looking at the word, we put the emphasis on the end, so it sounds like marquette. No, this just sounds like K, so marquette. I'm telling you, marquette, okay? A little louder. It's a word you know, it's just separated. Cover up the ing. And then if you put those together, what word would you have?
Shoveling.
There you go.
Huge piles of snow. At the same time.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, don't forget, periods mean it's the end of a sentence.
Huge piles of snow.
And your voice kind of goes down because you're finished with your thought.
At the same time in Miami, Florida, children are playing on a sunny beach. A rainstorm floods the streets of Seattle, Washington. Meanwhile, the mayor of Las Vegas, Nevada, complains that the city's dry spell continues. You wonder how can the weather be so different on the same day in the same country?
So, you're watching the Weather Channel. And you see, up in Michigan, there's a ton of snow. In Florida, it's sunny and warm enough to play outside. In Seattle, it's pouring down rain. And then in Las Vegas, it's super hot and it's not raining, or it's hot and it's not raining at all. How can there be so much different weather on the same day in one country? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's the same reason that the United States has so many landforms. Why does the United States have so many landforms? Kingston? Why does the United States have so many landforms? We talked about this, and it's in our book. The reason that there can be so many different types of weather on the same day in one country is the same reason there are so many landforms in the United States. We talked about this, and your book said it. Why are there so many different landforms in the United States? What is it about the United States that means there can be so many different landforms when some countries only have one type of landform? Maybe two. It's not going to be on the elevation map page. It's not going to be in this lesson. We're not talking about landforms. Victoria? Does that have anything to do? Have we even talked about that word yet?
No.
So would that have anything to do with landforms, which we talked about like 2 days in a row already? Guys, we talked about this. There is no point in me being up here and telling you things. Carla, you should not be writing right now. I don't know what you're writing, but do not write we've already done this. That should already be done, and we're not ready to write the vocabulary yet. If you're writing the vocabulary, then you're not listening to what I'm saying now, which means you're missing whole big pieces of the lesson. Why are there so many landforms in the United States? Victoria? That's a type of landform. That doesn't answer the question, why are there so many different landforms in the United States? It's not in your vocab. We talked about this. Some of you are just sitting there staring, waiting on other people to answer. I'm not going to go on until we find this answer because we talked about it. We said it several times. It's in the book. You have keywords that you can follow. We had a whole lesson on landforms. Zadie?
Landforms are features such as mountains.
Okay, you're telling me what landforms are. You're not answering the question, why are there so many different landforms in the United States? Why are there so many different landforms in the United States? Kingston? Louder, please. So why are there so many landforms in the United States? Put Kingston's answer. It's the 4th largest country in the world. Together with why there would be so many landforms, or if you keep reading, you'll find the exact answer. Sometimes you may think you find the answer, but you're not there yet. You got to keep going. If you're just sitting there waiting on other people, then you are not helping us to move through this lesson. Because you may be the one to find the answer quickly, but if you're not even trying, then, well, there goes that chance. We talked about this, and I got real animated about it. Today's lesson is about climate, so it's not going to be on today's pages. Monday's lesson was about location. Lesson 1 was about location, so it's not going to be in lesson 1. The skills lessons were on longitude and latitude and elevation, so it's not going to be there. Lesson 2 was on the American landscape. Landscape and landform have the same base word, land. So where's the answer probably going to be? In lesson 2. I see the keyword landform on the first page of lesson 2, page 18. So where's the answer probably going to be? Somewhere around the word landform. Zari, did you find it?
There There are mountains.
You're telling me the examples of landforms. That's not my question. I'm asking, why are there so many different landforms in the United States? I'm not asking what are the landforms in the United States. I'm asking why are there so many? Victoria.
In fact, it is the largest country in the world. It is so big that you can see just about every kind of landform here.
It is so big that you can see just about every kind of landform here. Victoria, did you make that up?
No, I found it in the book.
Where?
On page 18, and you are there.
Which paragraph?
The second one.
The second. So everybody turn to page 18. Look at the second paragraph in the you are there. Which sentence is it? Victoria?
Third sentence.
It's the third sentence.
It is so big that you can see just about every kind of landform.
So why can we see so many different kind of landforms in the United States? In your own words. Cullen?
I just had it.
You've got it. Think about it. I think it was because you were going to tell me that sentence. But then when I said in your own words, that's when you're like, oh, no. But you can put it in your own words. Why can you see so many landforms in the United States? What is a describing word for the United States that tells us this is why you can see so many? It's what? It is what? Come on, you got to be able to put it in your own words. Because if you just read the words from the book, but you can't put them in your own words, then that just means you don't know what the book's saying. If you don't know what it's saying, are you comprehending and reading it to understand? Zadie.
Because it's really big.
Because it's huge. Remember me saying that? That the United States is huge, and I spent like 10 minutes talking about how big it is and how I went all over and we did 6,000 miles, but because of that I was able to see so many different landforms. Remember that? So again, why can we see so many landforms in the United States? Class, it is big, huge. So, I said the reason we can see so much weather on one day, so many different types of weather on one day in the United States is the same reason we see so many landforms. So why are we able to see so many different types of weather in one day in one country in the United States? Carla.
Because the United States is big.
Because it's really, really big. And weather typically only covers small areas at a time. That means while it's cold in the north, it may be warm in the south because weather usually only covers one small area. Okay, let's look at page 27. Please read Zadie. Loud and slow.
The big picture. How would you describe today's weather where you live?
Well, we'll keep going actually.
You could talk about the temperature or how hot or cold the air is.
Pause. What's our first word, Zadie?
Temperature.
Temperature. Make sure you're spelling this right because temperature has an extra letter that you wouldn't expect. You can think of it as sure. Make sure you are spelling these correctly. Part of vocabulary is being able to recognize it. You don't necessarily need to spell it correctly on your own, but you need to be able to look at the word and recognize that, oh, that's the word temperature. So that means spelling is important. Temperature. And what is temperature, Zadie?
How hot or cold the air is.
How hot or cold the air is. So what would you say about the temperature today, here, where we are? Cullen.
It is very rainy.
What question did I just ask?
How would you tell?
What question did I just ask? Victoria.
How do you think the temperature is?
How would you describe the temperature? Temperature is how hot or cold the air is. So does rain have anything to do with temperature? No. So please listen to my question. You guys you just want to answer, but you have to listen to the question and make sure you're answering the question being asked. So how would you describe the temperature here? Kingston. What? Does it really? Is it cold outside? Is it really actually cold? Did you need more than a light jacket? So is it cold? Would we say that it's cold? So what do we call? What is that word that means it's a little bit cold? Carla?
Cool.
It's cool. So that's the way we would probably describe the temperature. It's cool. It's not cold. It's not hot. It's not warm. It's cool. Okay, Zadie, keep reading.
You could also talk about the amount of participation.
Read not participation, read the pronunciation guide. What a pronunciation guide does is it goes ahead and it chunks for you. It finds the syllables, and then there's a dot between each syllable, and it tells you how to say that. Sorry, you shouldn't be writing.
Miss Bellis?
Yes,
I
sir?
wasn't. I was just playing with the.
Okay, then should you even have it in your hand? Either of those things, writing or playing with it, is either of those correct right now?
No.
No. So take it, you can use your finger to chunk it even more, to cover up all but one piece at a time, which means you have to use more than one finger. Let's look at that pronunciation guide. Everyone together. Cover up everything but the first syllable. We have P-R-I-H. We would say that pri. When you have an H at the end, you don't say it just means it ends. So pri.
Pray.
Cover up everything but the second syllable. So you need two hands to do this. S-I-H. Again, we don't say the sound. It's just saying that's a short I. Si.
Sit.
Then we go to cover up everything but the third syllable. We have P-U-H. Again, we don't say at the end. We say huh. Then cover up everything but the fourth syllable. We have T-A-Y. We know A-Y you say is long A, so that is tay.
Tay.
It's also capitalized. That means that's where the emphasis goes. So our voice goes up a little when we say that syllable. Tay.
Tay.
Cover up everything but the end. That UH means it's short U, so we would say shun.
Shun.
So, sorry, do you mind muting yourself? Just because I think that you're a little louder than I am, but I can see that you're saying it. So make sure I can see by your mouth. So let's try again. Let's go a little faster. So you should still be chunking with me with your fingers. Pri, si, pa, tay, shun. Let's try it again. Cover up the syllables as we go. You should be using two hands. Pri, si, pa, tay, shun. Pri, si, pa, tay, shun. Sadie?
Participation.
Not participation. There's no T until towards the end. Pri, si, pa, tay, shun. Is there any T at the beginning of that word?
No.
So what is the word?
Precipitation.
Precipitation, not participation. It's pri, si, pa, tay, shun. Precipitation. Everybody repeat after me. Look at the word while we say it. Use your finger. Point to the word. Not the pronunciation guide because we're done with that. Point to the word and watch it while we say it. I will say it, you will repeat after me. Please do this because some of you aren't doing this. So then when you have to read the word, you weren't really paying attention and focusing on the word, so you don't realize we've already said this. We don't need to do this again. So look at the word while we say it together. Point to it. I will say it first. You will repeat after me. Precipitation.
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 Try to say it all together instead of saying it syllable by syllable. Precipitation.
Precipitation.
Now all together. Precipitation.
Precipitation.
Okay. Zadie, start that sentence again.
You could also talk about the amount of precipitation or water that falls to Earth's surface as rain, sleet, or snow.
Okay, Zadie, what's number 2?
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Precipitation. And what is precipitation? Zadie.
Water that falls to Earth's surface as rain, sleet, or snow.
Water that falls to Earth. Make sure that you are capitalizing Earth because Earth is a proper noun. That is the specific name for this one planet that we are on. That falls to Earth's surface as rain, sleet, or snow. So how would we describe the precipitation here today? How would we describe the precipitation today? Carla, make sure you're paying attention. Victoria.
Rain.
There's a lot of it too. It's raining and there's a lot of it. It's been raining all day. So do you see the difference between temperature and precipitation? Temperature is how hot or cold the air is, so it's cool outside today. Precipitation is water that falls to Earth's surface as rain, sleet, or snow. So if we're describing the precipitation, we would say there's rain and we would say how much of it. Both of those, okay. Zadie, keep going.
You might mention how windy it is.
Well, we haven't really been outside since this morning, so we don't necessarily know how windy it is. Keep going.
The temperature, the windy,
Not the windy.
the temperature, the wind, and the precipitation in the place on any given day make up the weather.
So, to describe the weather where you are, you have to say the temperature. Is it hot, cold, cool, warm? Is there precipitation? Is it sunny, rainy, snowy, sleeting? And is it windy? You would still include precipitation in your weather forecast even if it's sunny because that means there's no precipitation. So the weather that day is no precipitation, it's sunny. Okay, Zadie, keep going.
What is climate? How would you describe the climate where you live? Climate is the kind of weather a place has over a long time.
Zadie, what's our next word?
Climate
Climate. And what is climate?
is the kind of weather a place has over a long time.
The kind of weather a place has over a long time. So whatever your weather is that day is not how you would determine climate. you would say, okay, well, typically in this place, it is snowy and cold in the winter. Usually every year, the winter is snowy or cold in this place. That would be the climate. Here, it doesn't really get snowy, and it gets cold, but not as cold as other places. We have what's called a temperate climate because it really doesn't rain more than normal. It doesn't get super hot or super cold. It's just kind of right in the middle. Our weather is very normal, so our climate would be temperate. Now you have places that are very dry and hot. So those climates would be desert-like because they're dry and hot. You have places that are rainy and hot. Those climates would be tropical because a rainy and hot climate is tropical. You have places that are cold and wet. Those would be like snowy. What? Yes. Correct. Okay, Zadie, keep going.
You might have a very cold winter one year. However, the climate there is usually warm and dry. To describe climate, you have to look for patterns in the weather over many years.
So what that means is, if one summer you come and it's really really chilly. Like if we had one summer in Memphis that was really, really chilly, that would not be our climate. Because is it usually chilly in the summer here? No. So we would look at what the summer is usually like to find our climate. So we know our summers are usually really hot and dry. So that means our climate is that we have hot and dry summers. Just because one year we have one that's not so hot does not mean our climate changes. It just means, well, we had a weird year. It was a fluke. Like our vocabulary, our reading vocabulary. So climate, you have to look more at the patterns. What is it like pretty much all the time, not what it is like right now. Okay, I'm reading next. Effects of weather and climate. In a large country, keyword large, such as the United States, types of weather and climates vary from place to place. That's what we were talking about in that you are there. Because our country is so big, we don't have the same climate in the whole country. Think about it. The Southwest is very hot and dry. We have lots of deserts. Do we have many deserts around here? Do we have any deserts up north? On either side of the country? No. And then you get down to Florida and it's almost tropical. It's rainy and wet. Is it like that here? Rainy and wet and hot all the time? No. Then you go up to Minnesota and it's cold and it snows a lot. Is it like that here? No. So because our country is so big, we have different types of weather and climates in each part of the country. Still, no matter where you live, weather and climate play an important role in daily life. They affect what clothes people wear and where they choose to live. They can also affect how people earn a living and what they do for fun. So think about it. If you know it's going to be cold, are you going to go outside wearing your bathing suit?
No.
No. If you know it's going to be hot, are you going to go outside and wear your heaviest winter coat?
No.
No.
Switch it up.
Think about here. Are we going to have many winter sports stores? Like stores that sell things for skiing and snowboarding? Are we going to have a lot of those here? No. People aren't going to open those businesses because we don't get that kind of weather. What about in Alaska? Are they going to have many surf shops?
No.
No. So that's what they mean. The weather and climate is really important because it affects how you dress, the jobs you do, also where you live. If you're a person that hates cold and snow, are you going to move way up north? No. If you're a person who absolutely hates being hot and you have a choice, are you going to live in Florida?
No.
No. So weather and climate are very important. They affect everything that we do, from what we wear to what our jobs are to where we live. Also, are you going to go swimming on the weekends in Alaska in the middle of January? No. So we can't do that fun stuff. It just depends on the weather. Are you going to go skiing down that hill on Beale Street in the middle of summer here?
No.
No. So again, it also affects the things we do for fun. Remember, let's look at that reading check question. What are the main factors that make up weather? Well, we know there's 3 of them. Who remembers what they are? 3 factors that make up weather. Victoria? Temperature. Carla?
Climate.
Climate is not one of those things. What are the 3 main factors that make up weather? Weather is what makes up climate. So Victoria told us temperature. Climate is the weather in a specific area over time. So climate does not affect weather. Weather affects the climate. So Victoria told us 1, temperature. What are the other 2 main factors that make up weather? Smith?
Precipitation.
Precipitation, and then there's 1 more. There's temperature, precipitation. If you're trying to tell somebody the weather, you're going to tell them the temperature. Oh, it's cool outside. You're going to tell them the precipitation. It's raining outside, and you're going to tell them about the wind. Is it windy or not? If it is windy, how windy is it? Okay, so remember, the main factors that make up weather are temperature, precipitation, and wind. Those are the main factors. There are others, but those are the only ones we're going to talk about in this chapter. Okay, turn the page. Oh, I get to keep reading. Read along with me. A variety of climates. Different parts of the United States have very different climates. There are many reasons for the differences. That was short, so I'm going to do 1 more, and then I'll call on somebody else. How far, pay attention to this. These will be on your test. How far from the equator? That's one thing that causes a difference in climate. Places in the United States are located at different distances from the equator. Those distances affect climate. The sun's warming rays hit the equator directly all year round. As a result, the closer a place is to the equator, the warmer it usually is. So let's think about the United States. It's not the United States, but let's think about the United States. Here's the United States. Here's the equator. We know that the closer a place is to the equator, the warmer it is. In the United States, is it usually warmer in the south or the north? In the United States, is it usually warmer in the south or in the north? Zadie?
The south.
Why do you think that is? All before, we were probably just like, oh, just because it's in the south. But now we know why. Why is the southern United States warmer than the northern United States?
Because it's closer to the equator.
Because it's closer to the equator. The farther north in the United States you go, the further away from the equator you're getting, so the cooler it's getting. So that is why the southern United States is warmer than the northern United States typically. Now there may be some days where, hey, it's actually warmer up north. But is that part of the climate or is that just the weather that day?
That's
Zari?
The weather that day.
That's just the weather that day. Good. Okay. Read next. Oops. Ethan. Louder, otherwise we have to call on somebody else. How far? We already read that. Louder. This explains. Louder.
Has a much warmer climate than Alaska. Hawaii is the state closest to the equator, while Alaska is the state farthest from the
So, if we look at the map again, what that is saying is Hawaii has a much warmer climate than Alaska because Hawaii is down here It's the state that's closest to the equator, and Alaska is way up here. It's the state that's farthest from the equator. So that was just an example, a specific example of how the equator and its location affects the climate in the United States. Okay. Zari, read next. Are you able to read right now? Okay.
What is elevation?
Not what is elevation, because we already know what elevation is. It's how high the land is above sea level.
What is the elevation? Elevation also affects climate. In general, temperatures become cooler as you go higher above sea level. For this reason, although Hawaii's climate is mostly warm, its high mountain areas are cool.
Good. Okay? So, elevation. Who's ever climbed up a mountain? Or even like, it can be a small mountain, but who's climbed up a mountain? As you go up, what happened? How did you start to feel? Smith?
My ears started to pop.
Well, they started to pop, but how did your skin feel?
Felt kind of chilly.
It got chillier. That's because the further up you get, the further up or the higher the elevation is, the cooler the temperature. And we'll learn about that in science in a few chapters. We'll learn why that is. But just know for now, the higher the elevation, the cooler it is. The further away from the surface of the earth you are getting.
I will always remember that time.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Sadie, quickly.
And the weird thing is, when you're in your house, all the hot air goes to the top.
And that is weird, but that's because it's just on like a smaller level and the fact that hot air rises. But outside, is there anything stopping it?
No.
No, but inside your roof is stopping it. So that's part of why. Also, this is more like thousands of feet up in the air. But, yes, hot air does rise. However, on Earth, there's not, like when you're outside, there's nothing stopping it from just keeping going out into wherever. Yes, Victoria, quickly.
My dad, he climbs really big houses.
Mhm.
He's a chimney sweep, and and I think it like gets colder and colder because he has to wear.
Maybe, but it's more probably for other reasons because a house really isn't tall enough to feel the difference in elevation. This is more like mountains. Even hills aren't necessarily tall enough to feel the difference from the bottom to the top. But mountains definitely. Like if you've ever noticed, sometimes when you see pictures of mountains, even though it's the middle of summer, there's snow at the top. Well, that's like what they're talking about here in Hawaii. Even though Hawaii's climate is really pretty warm, there still may be snow on top of the mountain because the mountains are really tall, and the higher the elevation, the colder it is. So that's why sometimes you see snow on the top of mountains, even though it's really hot where you are, down on the ground. Okay, Zari, keep going. So now we know the distance from the equator makes places hot or cold. The closer to the equator, the warmer it is. The further from the equator, the cooler it is. The elevation affects the temperature. The higher the elevation, the cooler it is. The lower the elevation, the warmer it is. Well, now there's something else that affects the climate. Zari, keep going.
How far from the ocean? Oceans affect climate too. They warm the land near the coast in winter and cool in the summer.
Keep going. So that means the closer so if you are on the coast, in the winter, it's going to be warmer near the ocean. In the summer, though, it's going to be cooler. The ocean water makes the area near it a little more the opposite of whatever it is. So if it's summer and it's hot everywhere else, well, that ocean water is going to make it cooler along the coast. Now, not a whole lot colder, not like cold enough to wear a jacket, but a few degrees cooler. If it's winter and the temperature is really cold everywhere else, well, that ocean water is going to warm up the land along the coast. Just a few degrees, not enough to be like need completely different clothing. It's just a few degrees warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer. You probably won't even notice a difference. And if you do, just a little bit of a difference. Like maybe where you still need your jacket, but you can roll up the sleeves or something. Okay, Zari, keep going. Tell us why that happens.
How far?
You already read that.
Oceans also add moisture or humid.
You read that pronunciation key.
Humidity.
Go read that first. You've got the end, but that first syllable. Cover up everything but the first syllable. Everybody should be doing this. H-Y-O-O. That means you would say it exactly how that's spelled. Hue. So what they're saying is Y-O-O means that U has a long U sound. So instead of sounding like it sounds like U. So how do you say that word, Zari?
Humidity.
Humidity. Good.
Ocean also moisture or humidity to the air.
So what's our next word, Zari?
Humidity.
Humidity. Not humidity, but humidity. And what is humidity, Zari? This one you're going to have to pull it out because it's not exactly as it's written. Or it is, but there's kind of some things that separate it. So we know what is the ocean adding, Zari?
Humidity or moisture.
Moisture. So we know humidity has something to do with moisture. And where is the ocean adding that moisture? Zari?
From the air.
Is it adding it from the air or to the air? Is the moisture coming from the air or is it in the air?
In the air.
In the air. So that means humidity, if we take the fact that it says moisture before and that it's in the air, then we can put that together to say that humidity is moisture in the air. We know we have a lot of that here in the summer. That's why it feels so much hotter, because that moisture in the air is warm, which makes the air feel even warmer than it already was. Zari, when you're done, you can keep reading.
Humid or moist places
You know this word. You know this word, it's just separated, but you know this word.
Usually.
There you go.
Usually get more rain than drier places. Because Hawaii is surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, it gets more rain than any other state.
Good. So now we know another thing that affects climate. Well, we already knew how far it was from the equator, what the elevation is it higher land or lower land? Now we know if it's close to the ocean, that affects it. And now we know humidity is another thing that affects, which again is because it's close to or far away from a large body of water. Thank you, Zari. Read next, Smith.
What landforms are nearby? The landforms that are near a place also affect its climate. For example, the mountain ranges in the western United States act like walls. They block most Pacific air
Not most. What is that word,
from
Smith? Not most. OI sounds like
moist.
good, because OI
Pacific.
sounds like oi.
They block moist Pacific air from reaching land on the eastern side. As a result, eastern Oregon gets much less rain than western Oregon.
So what that means is the mountains can block things like rain and humidity. Because think about where, oh, I wish I had that United States map up. Think about where the mountains are along the west coast. We have those mountains that are kind of between the ocean and the rest of Oregon, that Cascade Range. Remember, it was the Cascade Range. Well, those mountains kind of block that ocean air from getting from the ocean on West Oregon's coast to East Oregon. So it's not as humid, which means it's not as wet in Western Oregon because the mountains block that moist, humid ocean air from reaching the other side of the mountains. So now we know landforms also affect climate. So there's 5 things that affect climate. The equator, remember the closer, everybody listen, the closer to the equator, the warmer it is. The further away, the cooler it is. The elevation, the higher the land, the cooler it is. The lower the land, the warmer it is. The ocean just makes it the opposite of whatever the rest of the area is. Not a whole lot, just a little. Humidity, the more humid a place is, that's why. That's what causes the ocean to affect the climate. And then landforms. Because mountains, things like mountains can get in the way. You probably didn't realize that because you think clouds and all that weather is going on way, way, way up high. But mountains can stop certain weather from getting from one place to another. Same with like basins. Because it may go down in the basement and it may not come back up. Basin, not basement. Okay, so let's look at this map. We have a few more minutes. Let's look at this map on the top of page 28. This map tells us, so everybody should be looking at the map on page 28. This map, find the title. It tells us the average temperatures in the United States. If we look at the keys at the bottom, why are there 2 United States here? The keys tell us 2 different things. Zari?
Because one's west, one is east.
What do you mean? They both look like the United States to me.
Because one of them is showing us the states.
They're both showing us the states. I don't know why they have the outlines on one and not on the other. They should have the outlines on both. Look at the keys, Ari, not the map. Zadie?
Oh, it's showing us average temperature.
Sorry. I called on somebody else. I'm sorry. Zadie?
Because one's the average temperature in January and the other one's the average temperature in July.
Good. So these 2 maps are showing us the average temperature in an area in different parts of the year. Because think about it. Is the weather in winter and the weather in summer different for us where we are? Yeah, very different. There are some places where it's not that different, but the United States is not one of those places. Although, if you've ever been to Florida in the winter, is it that different? Not as much, because it's closer to the equator where it's hot all the time, no matter what. So, if we look at the map of the United States on the left, that map shows us the average temperatures in January. The map on the right shows us the average temperatures in July. Which month is typically colder? Smith?
January.
January. If we look at the map key for January, we can see that the temperatures in January in the United States range from negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And then, so those are lower average temperatures. Then if we go to the map on the right, which shows us that the average temperatures in July range from 50 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at the map. Look how below Los Angeles, in July, it's over 100 degrees. The average temperature is 100 degrees or more. But is that also the hottest part of the country in January? No, isn't that weird? How this place near Los Angeles, that is the hottest part of the country in July, is not the hottest part in January. I wonder why that is. It must have to do with weather and rain and things like that. Because is that really near the ocean? Think about what's underneath there. Is there land or ocean underneath that red area? Zari, what's underneath that red area? Is it ocean or is it land?
Land.
Land, because it's Mexico. So it's nowhere near the ocean. That means they get none of that cooling air. Whereas Florida, which is the warmest in January, gets some of that cooling air. So that's why it's not quite so hot in July, because it gets that ocean air which cools it down. Well, this area below Los Angeles gets no ocean air, which we know can cool things down when it's hot. Okay, let's see. Ooh, let's look. Which city is colder in January? Minneapolis or Philadelphia? So first, make sure you're looking at the correct map. Would you look at the map that shows the temperatures in July to answer that question? No, because I'm asking about January. So find Minneapolis and find Philadelphia. Which city is colder in January? Carla.
It is colder in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. We can see that because where Minneapolis is, it's purple, which means it's between 0 and 20 degrees. And where Philadelphia is pink, which means it's between 20 and 40 degrees. Okay, well, which is warmer in July, Cleveland or Denver? Which one is warmer in July, Cleveland or Denver? Victoria. Put your book on your desk, please. Which one is warmer in July, Cleveland or Denver? Cleveland, because we see Cleveland is in the brown, which means it's between 70 and 80 degrees. Denver is between yellow and green, which means it could be anywhere from 50 to 70 degrees. So it is warmer in Cleveland in July. Okay, Smith. Actually, wait, I have a question. Why do you think Florida gets so much rain? Why do you think Florida gets so much rain? Smith?
Because it is right next to the ocean.
On 3 sides. Florida is a peninsula, which means that there is water on 3 sides. The 2 sides and the bottom. So yes, correct. It gets a lot of rain. It's very humid. There's a lot of moisture coming off that ocean. Remember our book said the more humid a place is, then typically the more it rains. Good. Now, Smith, tell us the summary, and then I'll tell you about the homework.
Summary. The weather and climate vary greatly across the United States. Wind, temperature, and precipitation affect weather. Distance from the equator, from sea level, and from the ocean influence a place's climate. Nearby landforms affect the climate of a place too.
Very good. Okay, so girls at home, go ahead and get out your homework. Everybody, look at the homework for tonight. It's a crossword puzzle. It is based on vocabulary, but you have 8 words. How many vocab words did we have today? Colin?
4.
4. Does that mean you should just rely on your vocabulary notebook to answer these questions? Nope. Because then you only know 4 of them. You need your book to answer these questions. You need to open your book and look at lesson 3 to answer these questions. I would not worry about bringing home my vocabulary notebook because I know the vocabulary and everything else I need is in my textbook, while only the vocabulary is in my vocab notebook.
Besides the people that have to bring it home.
Nobody has to bring it home today. There are no cards to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, use your book when you're doing this. Open your book. Look at the lesson. Go through. Use the key words. Use that right there strategy where you point to the words, the key words, and read what's around it. Okay, go ahead and put that in Return to School. Then I want you to clear your desk. We're going to do this step by step from a blank desk to make sure everybody has exactly what they need. So put that in Return to School.